The topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
Welcome to Chasing Purpose. I'm your host, Kathleen Connor, and if this is your first time here today, I'm really glad you found your way in, and I hope you stay a while. If you've been here before, well, welcome back. We have a lot to cover today, and I'm going to start with an admission. I'm going to disclose something about myself that I'm not overly proud of, but it is something that I'm working on and something that I struggle with, and it is that I'm an overthinker. I have been an overthinker, I think, my whole life. There you go. I think. So I overthink so much that I swear if there were degrees in them, I could test out and have a doctorate degree in overthinking. I know every scenario I probably have ever been in. I have replayed it in my mind and in my heart over and over again. So just so you know, if you've had a conversation with me in the last 10 minutes, 10 months, or 10 years, I can recall it. I can think about what happened, what was said, probably even what was worn, where we were in the atmosphere, in the environment we were sitting in or in. And I can tell you how I wished it would have been different or better or just more of it. So those are the things that I think about too much. I am that overthinker. I tend to be better at it than I was. I used to use the term with my therapist years ago when I overthought at night or kept myself up overthinking that it would be a monkey mind. That's what I used to refer to it as, that I couldn't sleep because I had monkey mind. And how I would refer to that is if you think about the monkey in the jungle going from vine to vine and tree to tree and just swinging and just constantly moving and going back and forth, trying to find a comfortable spot. That's where I was. That's where my mind always was and can be very easily. But especially at night, years ago, I used to have that pattern of just not having an easy time falling asleep, waking up in the middle of the night thinking about scenarios, things that might happen, things that did happen, things that could happen, what ifs, should ifs, all of those things. That was me. I'm better at the nighttime stuff. I don't do the monkey mind stuff anymore. And how I came about stopping it was just about breath work. And we've talked about that in the past. I do a lot of breathing and a lot of preparation before I go to bed. And I really calm my mind down and my body down. I have a ritual before I go to bed. Nothing dramatic, that's for sure. But I tend to just kind of start my nighttime descend into sleep, kind of in a rhythm, in a pattern of things. And I ease out of everything physically and mentally at that time. So I am better with it. And I know it can be done. And I will teach you and talk to you about how we can all be better about not overthinking so much. I can't say that I'm ever going to eliminate it. I wish I could. Maybe I wish I could. I like the fact that I do think a lot about things. I think a lot about people and relationships, conversations, and what I want to feel, how I want to be, the emotions that I want to receive during a conversation, during a time with somebody, and how I want to present myself, how I want to be, right? There are two things that we can do in our lives, many things, but when we're in conversations with people, we can anticipate how we want to show up. And then we can be that person and how we show up. And that's what I'm better at being. I'm better at being the person, remembering and overthinking and being that person that I want to be in every scenario and not worrying so much about what I could do or should do or all those types of things. Yes, I can do that. I am that professional overthinker, but I am better at it than I was. So things that I think about that I can think about are everything. I have a teenage son, as you all know that. And I think about him and how I can engage with him better as a mom, and not more. He doesn't need more of my time, because as a teenager he's trying to spread his wings and trying to become independent. And I'm trying to make sure that he knows that I'm helping him become interdependent. And those are two different things in my mind and in my heart. Independence means that when he leaves to go to college or start his journey into adulthood, that his independence, he will rely only on himself. And I don't want him to think that that's what he has to do, is just to rely on himself. Yes, I will make sure that he has great critical thinking skills. I will make sure that he's a good decision maker. I will make sure that he knows how to gather the facts. And I will make sure that he is emotionally engaged at all levels with all people. But what I want him to be is interdependent. And interdependent, again, those things that I think about, is about that he knows that he can always depend on me, that there's that interwoven relationship, that yes, he can make his decisions in his life for himself and for the others in his life. But if he has to and wants to and needs to, and even if it's just a random thing, he can talk to me about those, and he can talk to me about them, and I will receive it without judgment, hopefully without an opinion, although those things are tough to do as parents, but also with just a lot of love. So that's what I want to do. So the overthinking is about how I want to participate in all of my relationships throughout my day and throughout my life. How could I have been a better daughter, a better sister, a better mom, a better wife? Any of those types of things I can think about at nauseum, and I can think about scenarios of, oh, if this would have happened differently, or if I would not have been triggered, or if I would have reacted or not reacted, those types of things. And now I'm trying to do things in a more meaningful and more conscientious way. And I think you can all do that as well. You can choose every day of how you participate in a relationship. We all can, with our children, with our partners, with our co-workers, with the clerk at the store. Wherever we go, we have a choice in how we engage with people. So those types of things. So overthinking, I tend to think about it. Prior at night, I thought about it as the monkey mind, as we just talked about. But now I think about it in the sense, a great friend of mine who I walk with quite often, uses the term, don't borrow trouble. And she doesn't use it in the term when it comes to overthinking, but I thought it was so perfect, because when you're overthinking, you are looking for scenarios and you're borrowing time that hasn't happened yet. You're borrowing energy. You're giving energy to a situation that hasn't happened yet, or already has happened, that you can't do anything about. So that's how I took the don't borrow trouble line, was I took it as a spin of, instead of it being like borrow trouble, like you're going to get yourself in trouble, you're borrowing things that are limited, that you can't or you don't have any control of. So why would I, in a situation, if I'm going to meet somebody a day or a month or at a time period down the road, and I know it and it's planned and we're going to have coffee or we're going to talk, why would I cycle that conversation? Why would I, before it ever happens, why would I go round and round with, well, what if they said, what if this happened, what if they didn't show up, what if they brought somebody, what if all those scenarios happen? It can lead to anxiety. I'm not an anxious person. I don't believe that I am. I haven't had anybody in a relationship tell me that I've ever been anxious or have anxious tendencies, but I do have an overthinking pattern. And like I said, that is one of the things that I have improved upon. I haven't gotten 100% to be a non-overthinker at this point, but I'm okay with the amount of overthinking that I do. I think that we use it to keep ourselves safe. I think that we use it and can be used in good senses to make sure that we're aware and vigilant of our surroundings and our situations and our atmosphere, right? I don't want my son to be ramped up in anxiety when he goes places or he does things for the first time, or in a situation he just went to a frontier frontier days up in another state with a family and stayed several days. And it was his first time at a concert and a first time at a rodeo. Well, not first time, but at an outdoor rodeo. I've taken him to rodeos before, but I wanted him to know to just watch your surroundings. I didn't want him to get caught up in, there could be trouble. There could be this happen. There could be those situations. It could be, anything active or in a dangerous situation. But I want to teach him that being vigilant and looking at your surroundings and thinking about the people that you come in contact with is a good thing as well. You just don't have to do it at nauseum. You don't have to go round and round about a situation that happened 10 minutes ago, 10 months ago, or 10 years ago. I'm great at that. I'm also very, very good about thinking about future situations, and I want to be better about that as well. And when I think about future situations or things that are going to happen unexpectedly, spontaneously, or planned, I now think about them. And maybe I overthink, my spinning on overthinking. The kaleidoscope is still there and the colors are still vibrant, but now I've turned it and it's now in focus so that I can see them more clearly. That I think about things in a more positive way. That when I meet somebody and I talk to somebody, how can I show up as the best person that I can be for myself, most importantly, and first, but also for them? How can I lead with warmth, care, kindness, and compassion, as we talk about? How can I be an active listener if that's what they want me to be? And how can I participate in the world and in the conversation in a healthy and productive manner? And those are things that I do think about. I do think about, and not in a egotistical, not in a conceited, what am I going to wear? How am I going to be? All that type of stuff. I think about it in a way of, how can I be the best person that I can be for myself and therefore for everyone around me? How can I not be triggered? How can I not participate in those things? So my overthinking now, I still do it. I do want to admit to that. Of course, maybe I won't be the president of the Overthinker Association or club or whatever's out there, but maybe I'll just be a member, and I do it in a more positive way. I put a lot more positive energy into the things I think about. And my friends will tell you, especially my close friends, that I remember things. I have a phenomenal memory. I have an amazing memory. I always thought, and people have asked me in the past, like, why didn't I ever work for the law enforcement? And why didn't I ever be like a forensic, person or investigator? Because I remember details. I remember things. I remember what the scene and the atmosphere. And if it has a number in front of it or around me, I just remember it. My mind just triggers and focuses on the number of things. And if you tell me your birth date, I'll remember it. I swear, not that I want to. Of course, I want to remember everybody's birthday. It's important to you and it's important to me, especially if you and I are close, that I acknowledge you on your birthday. But I will. Those are the things that I tend to remember in my mind. I can tell you people's birth dates that I've met, that I've heard. I look at things. I look at license plates for some reason. I look at I just remember those kinds of things, stats on things, numbers on things, spreadsheets. I was always great at just remembering things, especially numbers. Anyway, so I overthought those things a lot, especially in college. One of the classes I took was statistics, and I liked it so much, and I was so intrigued by it, so fascinated. I think that was the first time in my life that I really felt as though it didn't come easy, but I remembered numbers. I remembered, and I remember it being like almost like high energy, because I was like, this is so cool that I'm remembering this. And I remembered all of that stuff. So meanwhile, I want you to think, but not overthink. I want us to be cautious and vigilant in our situations, in our conversations, and make sure that overthinking is used in a healthy way. And overthinking, when it's, in my opinion, used in a anxious or neurotic or nauseum kind of way, it can create a lot of noise. I thought about it, and one time I was talking to a friend about overthinking, and I think I've even written about this in some things, that it's kind of like an old refrigerator. It's hum that you constantly hear. It's that like vibration that you just, if you focus on it, it can become so annoying, that noise. And I think that's what overthinking to me had become when I used to be much worse at it, I guess, or better at it because I did it so often. That I think those things can be so um, just distracting, so full of just noise. And how can we make decisions when our head and our ears and our peace isn't calm? How do we do that? We don't, right? We don't do it very effectively. We don't gather facts. We do it with probably anxiety and emotions and stress and overthinking of things. So I want us to be better and acknowledge again that overthinking, if we remove the over part of it, we can just think. We can just think of things, and we can think of them in a pleasant, calm, and satisfying manner. We can think of situations like, I am excited about things. I'm excited about future conversations. I'm excited about spending time with people that I care about and that I love. And when I see somebody, even if it's for 10 minutes or an hour or whatever it is, I want to be present with them. I want to share the time with them. I want to watch for their presence with me. I want to watch for their eye contact. I want to watch for their body language. And again, I don't do it with judgment. I don't therefore say, well, you had your arms crossed the whole way, or you had your sunglasses on, or you didn't come and approach me, or you weren't approachable, those types of things. I hardly ever tell somebody that, unless I think I've done it once and maybe the last, I don't know, 5 years, that I've actually told somebody that their behavior, their physical behavior hurt me because they shunned me. They turned their shoulder or their back to me, or I could feel their coldness. And I was so hurt by it that I wanted them to know that whether they were making a conscious choice of it or not, I hoped they weren't at that time. But I wanted them to know that I was aware of it and that I didn't want it to continue. I didn't want it to become a habit, therefore a pattern, therefore a lifestyle. It was okay if it was their choice that night because they were overthinking something, or they had other on their mind, and maybe they weren't even thinking about how their body language was affecting me, how their tone was affecting me. But I felt it was important enough and I was impacted enough that I didn't want it to continue. And those are the situations that I will use with caution and with love and compassion, and tell somebody like, hey, I don't know if you saw this, but I felt it. And I don't want to feel that way again around you. That, especially if it's somebody that I care about, that I want to, just have a different feeling with. So those are things that I want to be careful of. And that was an overthinking stop, right? That was a point where I dealt with it. I dealt with the situation. I dealt with my feelings and put that out there and just said, hey, this isn't working for me, in a soft, kind, compassionate way. And I didn't have to think about it anymore. I didn't have to worry about what happens the next time I saw the person. How would they participate? How would I participate? I just threw it out there, and I felt like kind of closure on that feeling, kind of closure. And I'm not going to want that anymore. I'm not going to accept it anymore, with a soft, kind, caring boundary, I guess. So overthinking can tend to feel like we're taking control, that we want control over a situation or a past situation, that we wanted it to be differently, or we want the next situation to be differently. And so overthinking can just bring that noise, that level of anxiety, that level of just angst, I think I would like to call it, that it feels like we're doing everything we can to prepare, that we're being diligent, that we're being, vigilant on a situation. And if we think about it so much in such a scenario and build up every kind of if then statement, then I'll know how to pivot when it happens. And we don't really come to situations prepared, we come to situations so stunted in our overthinking that we're not able to even engage at a level, at an emotional level, or a physical level, or a psychological level in any situation, right? If I feel as though I want to talk to my son about a situation that I think is going to come up, and I'm going to talk to him about a hypothetical situation so that I think he needs to prepare for it so that I can prepare for it. Oh my God, that conversation already feels heavy, doesn't it? Right? I think kids are great about not overthinking. And as parents, I think we do them a disservice about projecting and giving our noise and our anxieties to them by having them do the ifs thens for themselves in every situation. And I think that we can learn a lot from our kids. And I know I learn a lot every single day from my son and the things and how he teaches me and how emotionally mature he is for his age. And even for my age, some of the things that come out of his mouth are just amazing. And I think we all have to listen a little bit more closely to everyone around us and listen for things that we can learn from and listen for things that we can take away and not overthink and not criticize ourselves and others. So part of overthinking, again, I think that it can be used in a healthy way by protecting ourselves, by protecting yourselves from any future disaster, any future situation, any harm, those types of things. That's why, fire smoke detectors do go off, is that they create noise so that you're aware of it. And I think that overthinking can just be that. I don't think it's that alarming stuff. I think we can get it there pretty quickly by continuing to add to our overthinking. But I think it's just that low hum. And sometimes we recognize it. And sometimes we don't hear a refrigerator running ever, right? Because we're so used to it. We don't put energy. But if I think about it, right, if I have a noise in the house, an appliance that is constantly maybe going on, deciding whether it's going on the fritz, or a noise in my car that's trying to alert me to something, if I fixate on it, then yes, it's going to be bothersome. And so I try not to let my overthinking do that for me anymore. It's like I said, it's borrowing trouble. It's taking things from a situation that makes you realize that you can't do anything about the past. You can't show up any differently from things that had happened. Yes, we wish we did, we wish we could have, we should have, all of those types of things. And we can only prepare ourselves for the future. And if we constantly cycle around, oh, I'm going to show up here on whatever time and whatever day, and this person's going to do this and this person's going to do this, and what happens if they do this and what happens if they do that, it's not healthy, and it doesn't work for anyone. It actually sets you up and probably them up for maybe that little bit of failure. I don't know if that's the right word, but at least borrowed energy that doesn't need to be there. So we don't need to borrow on future time. We don't need to borrow on past time. We don't really need to borrow on anything, especially anxiety. So why do we want to look at things and take away from the experience that we're going to have in our lives, whether there's someone participating in it or not, when we're so consumed by the borrowing, by the if thens, the what ifs, the should haves, could haves, that we're not enjoying the time anyway, right? So we didn't sign up for that. And our nervous system is using overthinking as maybe a being counterproductive. Maybe it can be helpful in situations, as I said. Maybe it can tell you to be careful, watch those things, wear that, be careful wearing those shoes if you shouldn't, or wearing whatever, or those types of things. And it keeps you alert of situations, but it doesn't have to be all consuming. It doesn't have to be loud. So the habit of overthinking doesn't have to come out of nowhere. It can be a choice. And I don't want to use overthinking. I just wanted to, let's take the over out of it. Just take the thinking. We can refuse to overthink about a scenario. We can refuse to sit here and write down lists and write down if thens and those types of things. And we can look at how that type of situation can, will, might happen, should, could, all that. What's it going to do? The only thing that we have control over, and we've talked about this in past, and I'm an advocate to say it, the only thing that I have control over is my time, my energy, and the power that I give anything and anyone. So those are the only things that I have control over. So it doesn't matter how many times I think about a scenario, how many times I try to change the situation in my head, try to change the conversation, the energy in the room. I can't. The only thing I can do is change those things with myself. I can change my energy, how I show up, how I engage, how I am in the situation and with that person. And that's what I've learned from not wanting to overthink anymore. It takes the fun out of it. It takes the spontaneity out of it. It takes the whole curiosity maybe out of it. It adds so much noise. And when I was doing it, like I said, as a professional overthinker, I was so caught up in waiting to pivot, waiting to watch, waiting to see what happened, trying to push the situation, trying to do the aha, I got you type scenarios that I wasn't really enjoying it at all. I was looking to get triggered. I was looking to trigger somebody. I was looking for things that weren't healthy. I was creating the noise myself. And so are you. And you can stop it just like I have. And how I stopped it is by just changing my mindset. Not just, I don't want to minimize it by that word, but by changing my mindset. By saying that, yeah, thinking about things is nice. Adding joy and pleasure and happiness to thoughts and to situations, and looking forward to seeing someone, looking forward to spending time with someone, anxious, not the right word, but excited, I guess is a better word, excited about being in the same place with someone that I care about and want to spend time with and want to watch and want to engage with. Those are things that I want to do. And when I show up, I want to be there 100%, not only in my head, but in my heart and in my gut. Those are the things that I want aligned, right? We've talked about that as well. My thoughts, my heart, my gut, my intuition. Those are the things that I want aligned every single day. Can I guarantee that they're going to be aligned every single day? I'm better than I used to be, that's for sure. Can I guarantee that they're going to be aligned every minute of the 24 hours a day? I can guarantee you that they're not going to be aligned, but they're better than they used to be. And it doesn't. And it did not come from overthinking. It came from shifting my mindset. It came from not borrowing the trouble, not putting energy into something that either has already happened that I can't do anything about. I can't think about, oh, if only I had shown up differently, shown up earlier, shown up later, had a different thing to eat, worn something differently, said something differently. Those days are done. That meeting, that conversation, that engagement, that interaction is over, and I can't do anything about it. And the same about the one coming up. I can do something about that one though. I can't overthink about it. I can, but I shouldn't, because again, time, energy, and power. What I should do is prepare my mindset of how I want to show up to that relationship, that environment, that situation. And how I want to is by being present. And if I'm overthinking and I'm thinking about everything but not being there, how can I be present with anything, right? We talked about in the past that any relationship, in my opinion, needs stimulation, right? It needs to be stimulated. In my opinion, especially an emotionally connected relationship needs 5 stimulants. If you have them all, that's the rare, that's the nirvana of relationships. It's hard to get. When you have it, if you've ever felt it in your life, fight for it, fight to keep it, fight to have it, fight to learn from it. And, but I think that if you can get 3 or 4 of the stimulus situations, I think it's pretty great. And those are to be intellectually stimulated, to be physically stimulated, to be sexually stimulated. Again, this is about a connected relationship. This isn't about a parent-son or a parent relationship. This is about a partner relationship. So intellectual standards or morals and or religion. I kind of keep that into one. I think it's more like a value proposition or value stimulation. Physically, sexually, spiritually. I think that is so important as well, that you find something. It doesn't have to, you don't have to believe that you believe in the fairies or tarots or psychics or any of those types of things. You can if you want to. I do a lot, but it doesn't mean that you have to have that commonality or that connection with the person. It means that you have to respect that the other person does. Someone could believe in UFOs or Loch Ness monsters or Bigfoot. It doesn't mean I have to. I just have to respect that they do. Again, understanding is different than respect. I'm not going to overthink that as well. I'm not going to try to convince anybody. So overthinking can stop us from being blindsided, that's for sure. It can make us cautious, but it shouldn't make us anxious. It shouldn't make us have so much noise in our head, heart, and instincts that we can't hear and we can't feel things and we don't know what's happening around us. So overthinking, again, is borrowing trouble. As I said, we don't need to borrow trouble. We don't need to borrow energy and time and give our power away before situations have occurred or that they've always occurred. So I think overthinking can just take the over out of it. We can think about situations, so we can think about people, we can think about things. And how I think about things now is, how am I going to show up? How is my mind shift going to be better today than it would have been 10 minutes ago, 10 months ago, and certainly 10 years ago? How am I going to show up and be present for myself, with myself, more importantly, and different? With and for are two different things. And how am I going to show up in the environment that I'm walking into? So overthinking doesn't have to be alone. So it doesn't have to be something that we're taking from the future. It doesn't have to be something that we are just being in a situation that we don't know what's going to happen. We don't have to overthink about it. We can prepare for it. We can write down, we can take notes, we can do pros and cons of things. Those may work for us, but what may be better instead of those noise or that situation is just changing your mindset, being open-minded to the environments that we're going to participate in, to those relationships, even with the difficult people, even with difficult people, even with people that we know we don't care to be around or want to be around. There are situations in my life, in my days, and in my surroundings that I come in contact with people that I wouldn't choose to come in contact with, right? They are friends of friends or in-laws of people, or situations or coworkers or people that I share offices with, those types of, or parents of, or clerks at the store, or any of those types of things. You have to deal with all kinds of people, happy, sad, fearful, as they may be. That doesn't mean we have to show up that way either, right? We show up as ourselves with a great mindset, acknowledging their presence, being polite and kind and caring and compassionate to the environment that we're sharing, right? That doesn't mean that I have to find or pull value from a situation. If I have a situation where someone's in the room or the situation or the party, and they wouldn't be someone that I would choose to spend a lot of time with. They wouldn't be someone that I find a lot of enjoyment being around. I still am polite. I'm still engaging. I may still, I will still, be approachable and be kind to them. That's who I am. That's who I want to be. That's my mindset shift. I won't, even if they're not, even if they distance themselves from me, even if they turn their back to me, even if they're cold, even if they are treat me like they're the teenage middle school or a high school student that can just walk by you and just give you that cold, like, I don't care about you feel. Even if that's how I feel, I wouldn't show it. That's my choice. That's my mindset shift. Doesn't mean I'm fake. It just means I'm more real about it. It just means that I'm caring and kind and compassionate because I am. It doesn't mean I'm faking it. It just means that that's just a person that I am. So I don't overthink the situation. I don't overthink uh, times and places and parties or situations that are going to occur. I may overthink or think about. I'm better. Let's just change the vernacular, the verbiage there. Instead of overthinking that I may overthink, let's just talk about maybe I will just think about. That's how I will change. That's a mindset change that you just saw and heard in me. That I won't use the term overthinking anymore. I will just think about it. I will think about things, and I do that with my son when he asks me, "Can I go here? Can I do that? Can I do this?" I need to think about it because I don't have all the answers, and that's my term, and that's what I need to be kind and compassionate and caring about my own life is that I just need to think about it. I don't need to make any rash decisions. I don't need to cause any drama or trauma or end anything, begin anything, any of those types of things. I just need to be present for myself and make the right decisions for myself. So overthinking, there's that word again that I'm going to eliminate from my vocabulary. Give me time to do it. So overthinking, it's the noise. It eventually will stop you maybe from trusting things entirely. Maybe it causes so much noise you stop hearing, feeling, and knowing what is happening around you. Maybe it causes so much anxiety that you're caught up in the scenarios instead of the situation. So let's not do that. Most of us try to create situations, hypotheticals, and bring them into the real world. So let's stop overthinking. Let's stop creating a habit that becomes a pattern that therefore becomes a lifestyle. Let's just stop with that. We don't have to worry about what happens if I took in college way back when. I'm going to date myself, but there was if then statements. We all had to take like a early computer science class, and I think it was basic. We all learned, and it was a lot of if then statements. And that's how I think about overthinking. If this happens, then what? If that happens, then what? All of those things. And it's not productive and it is just noise. And so we have to think about why we did those, why we choose or have chosen or want to choose to overthink about things. Do we do it for a protective measure? Are we saving ourselves from anything? I don't think we are. I think we're, if anything, using it to avoid situations, using it to create scenarios of judgment and being critical and convincing someone of something, even ourselves. And I don't think that that's how it works or that's an authentic lifestyle. So stop. You need to stop overthinking, just like I have, and I'm trying to. Instead of overthinking, just think about things. You don't have to overthink about them. Just think. And sooner or later, you won't even think about it because you won't hear the noise. You won't hear that hum of the old appliance, that annoying thing in the back of your head telling you that you need to do something, you should do something, they expect you to do something. You don't need it, you don't want it, and therefore you shouldn't have it. So stop everything that you're doing that makes you overthink. Enjoy today, what's in front of you, the relationships that you have, the conversations that you're dealing with. Be present, breathe through them. Don't get triggered. Enjoy people, enjoy your time together, enjoy your life, because that's what's most important, not the overthinking. If you overthink something so much, you will not be present in any situation, in any relationship, past, present, or future. So just relax. I know it's easier said than done, but just relax and breathe. Do not get triggered. Do not get a feeling that you can think about us, overthink to a solution. You can't. There are people, emotions, time, energy, and power involved in all of it. And sometimes it's yours, it's always yours, and sometimes it's others, and that's theirs to keep as well. So be mindful, be respectful, and don't overthink. Because again, it's just borrowing trouble. It's borrowing trouble of thinking about the past that you cannot change. It's borrowing trouble on the future that if you overthink, you're not going to participate in. You're not going to feel the feelings. You're not going to be with the person in the environment that you need to be in. So, with care and compassion, stop the monkey mind. Stop it at night. Breathe through things. Get a routine. Calm your mind and body down before you go to bed. Find something, find a ritual, find a journal, find a book, find a meditation that you can listen to. I tend to shut down. I tend to turn things off. I tend to quiet myself with lights and keep things quiet. And I tend to, you can feel when I'm going to bed, I tell my son I have about 20 minutes before I am in bed, and that pillow and I are partners for the night. And I want to just stay there, and I don't want to wake up and overthink about scenarios that have happened or situations that might occur, because it's not a place I want to be. I want to enjoy today with him and with everybody I come in contact with, because that's the only place that I can be enough, is if I show up as enough and show up for myself and be myself. So overthinking, let's just think about it in that way. Use these things. Overthinking at night, when you think about it, think about the monkeys in the jungle really moving themselves from vine to vine. And I can I can do the scenario where I can act it out, but you know what I'm talking about. And it feels like they're there for a quick second, and they're moving very quickly because they can't focus on anything. And that's what monkey mind does to you. It can build you up, it can race your heart, and certainly can race your mind. So stop the monkey mind, stop the overthinking, stop worrying about others, worrying about how to provide a solution, because all you're doing by overthinking is perhaps creating more problems. And I know that you are creating more noise. So let's stop that. Let's do things that are healthy for us and healthy for everybody else, so that we can show up compassionately with kindness and care in every situation. Make an effort, show up with care, and make sure that you're making yourself a priority. That's what's important for us to do, is to be there for ourselves so that we can be there for others. And if we're overthinking, we're not there. We're not in that room. We're in the past. We're in the future. We're worrying about things that we have no control of. Think about things that you do have control of. This is what you have control over. You have control of your time, your energy, and your power. Be careful who you give it to. Be careful who you share it with. Give it freely, mindfully, with health and productivity and compassion and kindness. That's what you need to do with those things, with the energy, time, and power that you have. Enjoy it, embrace it, increase it, right? That's what we need to do. If you're with somebody and you want to spend time with them and more time with them, ask them for more time. Ask them for when you can have their undivided attention. Ask them how they can focus, how you can show up better for them. I love when I ask people that in a relationship. How can I be better for you? I ask my son, how can I be a better mom? How can I participate better in our relationship? He's 14. At my age, didn't know the answer when my mom, if she ever would have asked me that, she didn't. But that doesn't have to be an answer to that, but it brings the awareness to them that you're willing to try, that you're willing to be there for the person in any scenario in a better way. And that's what everything and everybody needs, in my opinion. So not only do it for yourself, show up. How can you be better for yourself? How can you be better for others with your time, energy, and power? So stop overthinking. You right there, please, listeners, stop overthinking. Stop doing it. Stop worrying about what people think, care, and will say about you. Doesn't matter. Yes, people will talk. That's what we do in our society. It's unfortunate. They won't talk forever. They'll talk for maybe a minute or two, If they talk for longer than they should, that's their situation, their limitations, and their problem, and not yours. And there's nothing you can do about it. Don't waste your time, your energy, and your power on anybody that is unhealthy. So again, stop overthinking. Stop doing things that put you in a situation where your anxiety, your presence, your energy, and power are given to scenarios either in the past and in the future. It doesn't work for you. It's not going to work for you. It's certainly not going to work for others as well. So be safe. Take care of yourself. Do things that are important to you. Slow down. Take a breath. Try not to be triggered. Watch people. You're not responsible for other people's feelings, other people's future, other people's lives. That's not your responsibility. You're responsible for yourself. Your responsibility for your behaviors, your reactions, your triggers, your participation in other people's lives. That's what you have control over. And that's what you need to do every single day is how can I do those things better? How can I be better and do things in a better, more fulfilling, healthy, and productive manner? I can't tell you how much as it is as a parent, we want to try to protect our kids and feel things, be things, do things. We think we have them figured out. Let them figure themselves out. Be there to support them. Be there to love them. Be there to teach them so that they have the knowledge to be everything they can be for themselves, so they can have their own energy, their own power, and their own time to deal with in that interdependent way that's so important for this as a society, as them as a whole. They need to be interdependent instead of independent or dependent. Codependency. I will do a whole episode on codependency. Just popped into my head. Codependency we need to address not only for ourselves, but as society. That's what we need to stop doing. So stop overthinking. That's where we start with that. We start with everything within ourselves. Thinking about something creates, thinking about something too much, overdoing it is overindulgence. Not healthy, not good for anybody. So just think about it in that way. No one comes to you and says, how much overthinking did you do today? No, they want to know how you are. They want to know how you're doing, how you're spending your day, how your day is going for you, so that they can look for and listen for things that are healthy happening in your life. And things that aren't healthy, if you're receiving pain or you're receiving some challenges, they want to be there for you for that as well as I do. So I'm here to tell you that please, we're going to disassemble this overthinking society and this overthinking fan club and this overthinking association that I talked about earlier. We don't need any more members. We're revoking everyone's membership as of today. It'll start slowly, but it'll be beautiful when you can slow it down. I will continue to think. I will continue to be present in the lives of people that I love and the lives that I come in contact with every single day, because I'm not going to think about it. I'm going to think about the scenarios, the if thens, and what happens if, and should I, could I, or would I have done things differently. Can't do anything differently. And at this point, I can only look to the future and what I can do right now in this present moment, and think about how I want to show up every single day for me in any situation that I come into. I don't have to worry about how the conversations, how the other person shows up, how they are dealing with things. I just have to worry about me, how I'm not going to get triggered, how I'm not going to get pulled into situations, how I'm not going to get pulled into their noise, and nor do I want any noise around me that pulls them into. So that's what I have to do, and that's what we all have to do. So stop doing that. Stop overthinking. Stop being in places we don't need to be. That's what we have to do. Just stop the spiraling, stop the noise, stop the critical, the judgment, the reactive participation that we're doing in things that we don't need to do. So stop it, please, for yourself, for others. This was a powerful podcast for me today. It made me realize how much I've grown through thinking, and how I'm going to continue to move forward in more positive ways. If this resonated with you today, if you took anything from this, please review it, like, and share it. More importantly, if there's someone out there that you think that they're part of the Overthinkers Association and they're filling out their application, tell them to stop, listen to this podcast, send it to them, with love and kindness. And I think we can all be better for it. So again, I appreciate your time. I'm glad you showed up here today for yourself and for me. As always, I'm here every single week. You can catch me on your local, on any streaming service that you use. You can see it live on Tuesdays, and you can catch it as a replay on any device that you have in any streaming services. So I'm out here. I'm available for you. Check out my website. If you want to have a session with me, I'd love to have that as well. We can do a discovery session, get to know me, get to know you, and see how I can help you, because I help a lot of people out there, especially women, stop doing things that aren't healthy for us anymore. So again, I appreciate you. And until next time, keep chasing purpose.